Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin, on a little bit of a, what do we call this?
Spiritual retreat.
Spiritual retreat. Sure. We're up with the families at the in-laws' cottage, enjoying some time. So anyway, we're doing a freestyle. We're doing a freestyle here. What are we talking about today?
This is our time off. This is for reflecting and relaxing and getting away from the humdrum of the normal workaday week or whatever.
That's right.
But interestingly, we've both found that that's when sometimes feelings of anxiety or boredom and stuff can creep in, and now you're kind of faced with an existential problem.
Yes.
Instead of the too busy, all of a sudden you're like, what are we doing here? Why do I feel not good even when I'm trying to relax?
Yeah.
And I think that that's on purpose. I think that that's sort of bound to happen. You don't really get the opportunity to be depressed when you're at work every day.
Yeah. Because your mind's so busy maybe, right?
So sometimes when you carve out a little bit of personal time, you're like, I don't know, feel sad or anxious.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got to kind of figure out what's going on. Why would that be the case? You know, should I distract myself more? Or should I sit and think it through till I figure out what's going on? I had this thought that it's like, it's not an original thought. I'm not the first one to come up with it. You know, when you've got your ducks in a row and you've actually, if things have worked out for a brief moment in your life for you to actually be able to just unplug from all the responsibilities of a typical person, it's like, it's almost like on the horizon is the dark night of the soul. It's like you work towards a dark night of the soul, and you work towards a well-earned existential crisis. And then so I don't know, I guess maybe that's.
But you were also noting though that's even sometimes going through that you can still be like plugged right back in after like having something like that.
Right.
Which is
That's what month-long retreats are for.
if you can get away to one of those.
Yeah. And then what? So then what? What happens? You get over the hump, you're enlightened, back to work? Is that what happens?
Sometimes I feel like sometimes that's the case. In other cases it's like, well, I have to make some dramatic changes.
Yeah, that's true.
And some people make gear shifts, you know, they have to do that. I think it's different for everyone. It's all going to depend on the unique individual and situation as to.
I don't think it's good to underplay giant events in your life. Like, say you had a huge change of heart in your like 20s, you know, you felt compassion for the first time and you were like, oh my crap, like I've been selfish, and now you have like a dawning realization of others. I think that that's just as valuable as somebody else's dramatic existential enlightenment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who's to say that they're not both of the same ilk, you know what I mean? And if somebody came along and was like, oh my goodness, like you should be embarrassed, those are so not the same things, you don't got it, you know, like who's really the egoic asshole, you know what I mean? If there's like a downplaying of that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's not one person on this planet, it's everybody, right?
Yeah.
So all these significant things matter. Every insight that anybody has is of value.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I find that like when I experience a lot of free time and I'm put into scenarios where I'm not used to the routine. Like the routine's gone and I'm doing something new constantly. I find like aspirations or like wanting of something different for some reason. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I find myself longing for something more. I know.
Yeah. Straight up boredom, really. It's like, all right, well, how long is this ride? What's next? But honestly, I feel like that is a tricky one. Like, boredom's almost a trap, because there really is always something you can do.
Yeah.
And you ever been with somebody that's kind of whining about being bored, and you're like, well, you could do this, and they're like, nah, and they just say nah to everything.
Yeah.
It's like, what would you do if morality didn't exist? Well, I'd sit on the couch and watch a marathon of, you know, you know,
Whatever your
whatever
carnal
the
desire
guilty
wants.
pleasure is and eat a bag of chips. It's like, I don't know, who's to say maybe that's not exactly what you should do then, you know? It depends on how you, like, I don't think that that's something that you should dismiss as utter foolishness. It isn't necessary. If that's what you do, if that gets you to the next step,
Yeah.
and what if you met somebody that was their whole thing? It's like, have you seen Larry? He's been relegated to a room for 20 years watching House Hunters and eating Cheetos. That's like a feat at that point. That's not just like nothing, because it would be hard to do the same thing that long.
Yeah.
So I don't think people need to worry about, should I do this or should I do that? If it's truly what you want to do, you know, I don't want to give bad advice and somebody, you know, hurt themselves doing this, but I'm just trying to make a point here of when you don't know what to do anything. Do something. Start trying. Do whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that is a valid point. I'm just not communicating it properly.
Well, I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again, is that boredom is the ego craving to be distracted.
Yeah.
I forget where I heard that.
Sounds pretty good.
But ever since I heard it, every time I find myself feeling bored, I start finding myself thinking about that, and then it's kind of like a good reset to be like, well, then maybe you should like be doing a meditation or something, or like go let yourself be bored.
Yeah.
Go allow yourself to have some boredom, because you know.
What if you got good at meditation? What if you got so good at meditation that you learned how to enjoy yourself during meditation, and now that was your go-to thing when you were bored, was to meditate? How would that appear to the rest of the world? What are you doing up there? What are you doing over there for hours on end? I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, well, what's the difference between that and laziness? Well, laziness is just being lazy. Meditate. So the point I'm trying to make is, don't let someone tell you what your spiritual practice is.
Yeah.
I think anything could be a spiritual practice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like
Depending on what spirit.
well,
you
it could
take
be
in.
exactly what you were mentioning, some of those things before, like go do some art, go work out. I hear a lot of people say that they find their meditative place, or they find their zenned out spot when they're doing that thing that they love, and then I guess they get themselves in kind of like what some people call a flow state.
Right.
And then
Are we all supposed to be carbon copies? Are we all supposed to do spirituality the exact same way? That sounds awful. Everybody should be free to do it their own way, you know?
Yeah.
Just because you enjoy the way one Zen master does something doesn't mean you have to like replicate it. You can enjoy that that's what they do and still find your own completely unique version of that.
Yeah.
You know, invent new ways of meditating. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know what? This has been a windy one. My arm's killing me. I want to put the camera down. We'll get one for the thumbnail. Say cheese. Cheese. And, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend. And everyone, till next time, stay spiritual.